Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is an enigma of a film, to say the least. Or less of an enigma and more like the worst book-to-movie adaptation I've ever seen. This film has it all. Terrible writing, terrible acting, terrible dialogue and script, terrible editing, everything you need to be an awful, awful movie. Along with the Mark Wahlberg Planet of the Apes remake, this is easily one of the worst Tim Burton movies ever. Now, I will put a disclaimer here. I have never read the book, but my mother has. So I think that counts for something. She explained to me after we watched this that apparently this movie added several scenes and plot elements that were not in the book, which is so bizarre on so many levels. First of all, it's a book adaptation. You literally have your work already done for you. You just gotta put it in screenplay form. Second, in movie adaptations of books, you have to take things out so that the movie isn't too long or convoluted. Like they don't put in every single event that happens in a Harry Potter book in the movies, because they'd go on for 4 hours and be boring as fuck. You'd think this would be common knowledge by now. This film does the opposite and puts in additional scenes to make the plot convoluted, long, and boring. This film is written by Jane Goldman, who has some good projects under her belt, so I have absolutely no idea what happened here. Either the book is just like this, or corporate came in. But let's just get this shit over with. It starts with the main protagonist, Jake, played by Asa Butterfield, at his job at the supermarket, which they added in just because it was in the book. And that scene lasts for about 30 seconds. No, literally, I timed it. The movie spends exactly 30 seconds in the supermarket for no reason. So Jake has to go and take care of his grandpa who has dementia, and his manager, I'm assuming, Shelly, drives him there, who we never see again after this scene, by the way. And here's where problems with this movie immediately start showing up 1 minute in. Jake, the main character, has as much character development as Shelly does, a side character who has less than 5 minutes of screen time. And they're already starting the main plot. Why can't you just hold back for a minute? Let the audience get to know Jake, develop his character, define who he is, instead of, thrusting him into action literally 30 seconds after the movie starts. And here's where we discover something truly incredible. Asa Butterfield can't act.
Grandpa, did you take your pills today?
He just kind of reads his lines and puts no emotion he doesn't put any effort into sounding like a human into them, so he just sounds like he's a robot all the time.
Yeah, Dad took it, alright, for safekeeping. It's okay.
And he just over-enunciates his words way too much. Now, he is British, and I have a small theory with this. He's doing an American accent, so my theory is that he's putting so much effort and so much energy into this American accent that there's no longer any energy left for him to actually act. So Jake and Shelly finally show up at Jake's grandfather's neighborhood, and apparently it's been like a couple hours because before we were on the highway in like a nice well-lit sunset, and now it's like pitch black in the middle of the night.
That guy gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, don't worry about that guy that you almost hit with your car. He was scary, so it's okay.
Grandpa?
Why didn't you just use the key in the first place instead of expecting your grandfather to get up and open the door in the middle of the fucking night?
Grandpa!
Yeah, that was a good line read. He follows a blood trail and he finds his grandfather with his eyes gouged out in the middle of the forest, and he has this reaction. A real good emotion there, Asa. Real good. Hey, keep it up, pal. God, there's so much information. We're 8 minutes in and we're already being thrown so much information from this movie.
The cops said that dogs scratched up the screen door, and he chased them off into the woods. And the coroner said he had a heart attack. And the cops said that dogs go for the soft parts.
So the cops say that his grandpa was attacked by wild dogs in this nice suburban neighborhood who scratched out his eyes and left no blood on him. That's what we're saying.
Were you very close?
He used to babysit me a lot. When I was with him, I felt special.
Would it have just been easier to start the movie from here? Like to start it out with him as a kid and then go into him being in the supermarket and his grandfather dying and all that. That would have been the smart way to do it. I mean, I know that the book doesn't open like that, but from a film context, it works and it works well.
Never seemed to pick a job that didn't involve late nights or long trips away, though. You know, me and Aunt Susie always kind of thought he was maybe cheating on our mom.
Okay, why did we need to know that? Seems like a really unnecessary detail about a character who's dead now. So then his family throws him a big surprise birthday party because that's what this grieving child needs, a lot of social interaction. His grandfather had a present for him before he died, and in the book that he gave him, there's a postcard and it's from Miss Peregrine. Oh, it's what? So then Ace is like, hey, I would really like to go to this island. It'll give me closure about my grandfather, for some reason.
Right. And I could meet her. Maybe even find out what it was Grandpa wanted me to know.
But what if she's dead?
As Dr. Golan said, maybe I can move on. Like closure.
I don't think that's how closure works. Okay, sure. Nice shorts, Dad.
That's a Peregrine Falcon. A Peregrine like the headmistress?
Sure. Hey, that's probably where Grandpa came up with that whole turning into a bird thing.
Maybe that's really her. Hey, Miss Peregrine! It's me, Jake! I'm Abe Portman's grandson. Please don't crap on us.
Okay, I'm sorry to keep picking on Asa Butterfield, but come on, man. Could you just put a little more effort into that line read? Oh, my kid, I'm not sorry. So then a whole lot of absolutely nothing happens for about 6 straight minutes. It's pretty much just Jake and his dad on the island and just nothing happening, like, at all. And it's just very boring. Like, there's legitimately nothing interesting about these parts, so I'm just gonna skip to when something happens. So Jake goes up to the home and he finds the children there, and they just kind of chase him around for a while. And then this happens. It's the puniest fall I have ever seen, let alone one to get concussed from. So then the children carry him over to, I guess, the entrance of where the home is.
Miss Peregrine's waiting. She saw you on the ferry. She sent us to get you.
Oh, so when they were joking around saying how the bird was Miss Peregrine, no, that actually was Miss Peregrine. Okay, sure, movie, go ahead, yeah. What the fuck are you doing? Why are you running? This is the whole reason you came here. You got confirmation that everything your grandpa said is true, and you run away without words. What the fuck is going on? So now we're in the year 1940, and the kids are taking Jake over to the house, and I will say, visually, this movie is very, very nice. It does a very good job of distinguishing the past from the present, with the present having very crushed blacks and being very blue, and essentially just looking like every edgy teenage movie that there's ever been, and then the past is much more colorful and bright, and it does a very good job of being able to know exactly which world you're currently in. Visually, it does a very good job. But let's forget about that visual stuff and listen to more of Asa Butterfield sounding like a robot.
What? In the pub. All of you saw, right? Everything was flying and breaking, and that was me. I was doing it with my mind.
Yes, I am special too. Yes, I am a good boy. I am Asa, your god. So now we meet Miss Peregrine, who is totally not trying to emulate Johnny Depp's style of acting.
Peregrine, delighted to meet you. I do hope I'm not going to have the pub landlord knocking on my door with the police again. I've had to kill them twice this month. It's been terribly inconvenient.
Okay, so here's probably my biggest problem with this movie. It breaks the most basic writing rule ever, show don't tell. It doesn't just break it, it smashes it into a thin dust. A good amount of time is committed to just explaining the universe and all the rules within it, which is never, ever good.
Some people are peculiar. It's a recessive gene carried down through families. Yet many generations can pass without a peculiar child being born. And alas, peculiars have been persecuted through the ages. Hence, we live in places like this.
In Wales?
Anywhere will do if you pick the right day. That's fine now, Fiona. You see, I'm a type of peculiar called an imbrine. That means I can...
Here's an example of good exposition. Star Wars. Now I know that they all have an opening crawl, literally explaining everything that's going on, but if you took that out, you could still understand what was going on from things just happening. So here's the way they do it right. Obi-Wan talking to Luke in A New Hope.
Didn't hold with your father's ideals, thought he should have stayed here and not gotten involved.
You fought in the Clone Wars?
Yes. I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
I wish I'd known him.
He was the best star pilot in the galaxy. And a cunning warrior.
It's not just Obi-Wan talking at Luke, like in this, it's them having a conversation, Obi-Wan reminiscing about better times. With the Obi-Wan scene, it has levels. Obi-Wan is going through several different emotions and feelings, instead of a flat Jack Sparrow-esque giddiness.
How did my father die?
A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil, helped the Empire hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights. He betrayed and murdered your father.
This does it the shitty way, where Jake just says, "Hey, is this something you need to explain to me?" And then she just explains everything calmly.
He said you could explain everything.
That's absolutely true. There are very few things I can't explain.
And seriously, this movie has so much exposition in it. There's rarely a time when it's not explaining something to you. It's like reading a textbook, but in shitty movie form, and it sucks. Also, Roblox death noise.
And that's you.
Stop cheating, Hugh!
Yeah, Hugh, you fucking dick. Stop using superpowers to win. So Jake goes and helps,
Heaven knows. Enoch's been off talking ever since we went out to get Jake. Miss Peregrine, there's policemen talking about the pub.
We'll discuss this later.
Emma, her name is Emma. Sorry, I forgot her character name because her character is very, very forgettable. He helps Emma save a squirrel, or put a squirrel back in a tree after it fell, and she says squirrel in a British accent, and then Jake, an American kid, says squirrel in a British accent.
So, what did you need help with?
One of my daily chores. Put the baby squirrel back in the tree.
What baby squirrel?
Like, could they have not gotten another take where he doesn't do that? Could Tim have, like, pulled him off to the side and said, "Hey, you may have done this unconsciously, but you said squirrel in the British accent. Could you not do that?" And Asa would be like, "Oh, sure, governor, yeah, sure, I can do that." And then he wouldn't do that. Like, could you have not taken, like, 2 minutes? It's not a complicated scene. It's dialogue. It's a strictly dialogue scene. Fucking, what am I doing, dude? I mean, who cares, right? Like, who cares? It's a movie. Fucking, you know. It's not like, like, people were, like, paid a lot of money to make this absolute train wreck of a film, and then put no effort in it at all. Tim Burton, an acclaimed director of many classic films, Beetlejuice, the original Batman, Nightmare Before Christmas. It's not like he was, like, trusted to make a good film, and then, like, just no one cared enough to, like, correct this very simple and correctable mistake. It's not like that happened. Let's just move on. You know what? I'm not gonna worry about it. Fucking damn it, dude. Then this whole floating scene happens, and I guess it's interesting. It's not really. It's just padding. That's what this movie is. It's just exposition and padding for a nice, clean 2-hour runtime.
He's dead. I know. Miss Peregrine Gaston, she's always right. It's okay.
And then Asa has the line of,
Were you close?
and that's when I realized that Asa in this movie has the lines of Cole Phelps from L.A. Noire and the emotion of Aiden Pierce from Watch Dogs. Drama. So Jake goes up to the attic to go and see Enoch in red hair fire girl. I forgot her name, and I'm not gonna bother going back to the IMDb page to learn it. And then this shit happens. So as you can see here, this is the scariest shit you'll ever see in a PG-13 kids movie. And like, it's claymation too, which makes it like extra creepy. And claymation wasn't the only thing they had too either. That was clearly a decision that was made to make it creepier, because later on in the movie there's CGI and it's all animated by computers. This just makes it look fucking creepy and I hate it so much. Plus there's like wacky sci-fi music playing over it to make it like seem like it's, whoa, look at this crazy weird thing, but no, it's just fucking creepy. Stop it, I'm scared now. And trust me, this is not the end of the unsettling imagery in this movie. Trust me, there is much more to come.
I need a necktie.
Oh yeah, let's just cut away from that and never talk about it again for like an hour and 24 minutes. Everything is happy. So after that horribly fucked up scene, now it's dinner time. And a lot more of absolutely nothing.
Hey, what are you doing?
Millard, go and put some clothes on.
Wait, you guys let him eat dinner nude? That's a bit weird, isn't it? Plus we saw him holding a knife and fork earlier when Jake walked in. Did he not see that or something? God, this movie is stupid.
We've spoken about this. Jake is just visiting.
He might want to stay. Don't you want to stay, Jake?
Tonight or...
Forever! You should stay forever!
Why would he if he doesn't have to? He can live out there, grow older, have a good time instead. He'll leave, just like his grandfather did.
Drama.
That wasn't nice, Enoch. You know perfectly well why Abe left us.
To join the army. And then he met a lady and had an...
Hey, it's more exposition, my favorite!
I think you should all get ready for movie time while I answer that.
This dinner was like 5 minutes long with minimal talking. Is it normally this short? Jake's barely eaten his food. In fact, almost no one's eaten their food. So then we go on to movie time, where we learn what the super smart kid's power is. He can project his dreams through his eye, and just like you guessed, a lot more nothing going on.
Yours is extra marshmallows, Jake.
Millard, put some pajamas on.
It's too hot in here.
Why does he just get to go around naked all the time? Put some damn clothes on.
When did he dream this?
Last night. Some of his dreams are prophetic, but mostly they're about clothes.
Prophetic as in he can see into the future.
Hey, just in case you don't know what prophetic meant, kids. Okay, I will admit, the bombing scene is pretty cool. Visually, and with the music playing, it is very nice, atmospheric, and a pretty good scene. I'll give it that. So now Emma is walking Jake back through the time portal, the loop. It was the loop. I forgot it was called the loop. And then this happens.
What was that?
It was my phone.
Yes, it was my phone. The thing that made a sound was my cellular device. Do not report this to your robot manufacturers.
Well, couldn't you leave someday? And live in the present? If you wanted to?
No. More than a few minutes in your time and the years would catch up.
Well, you would age. Well, you would...
the Imbrine from Horace's dream.
Oh my god, this movie. So then Jake's dad finds out that he wasn't hanging out with the two weird rapper dudes. Oh yeah, I forgot there's two weird rapper dudes in this. I didn't feel the need to mention them because they have almost no impact to the story. But his dad found out he wasn't hanging out with the rapper dudes and now he's in big trouble.
And break down!
So Jake goes back to his room and he's looking over this letter that he stole from Miss Peregrine. He stole from Miss Peregrine's home, and it's from his grandfather to Miss Peregrine, and it's warning them that that Samuel L. Jackson's friends are in England, and it's very, very obviously shot in a different lighting.
Well hidden, and take the greatest care yourself.
Oh, come on. Did they just Slenderman Bye-Bye Man this? Wouldn't someone have noticed that there are 4 people in this photo perfectly symmetrical to each other who don't have pupils? And the next morning, apparently him and his dad are fine now. Cool. So him and his dad go down to the beach and they meet this other bird watching dude, and his dad is super envious of this dude's sick bird picture taking skills. So his dad gets super discouraged and they go back to the bar and he takes a nap and then the movie continues. Because literally that didn't really need to happen. I mean, I understand why it did. Do we really need to take a massive stop in the story so that could happen? Like, this subplot doesn't come back. Like, it starts and ends within 3 minutes. Like, we didn't need to put the entire story on hold so that Dad could get discouraged from taking pictures of fucking birds. So then Jake goes back to the home and sees that Miss Peregrine is caring for the other...
Imbrine.
Yeah, that. Who, yes, is this bird character. So then Jake runs into Enoch again, and he's all like...
I do know someone who can get away with breaking rules, though. Want to meet him?
So then they go up into this other room, and then there's more horrible nightmare fuel for you. That's what you wanted, right?
Hello, Jake. I'm Victor. Do you want to know what killed me?
Fucking why? Like, why does it need to be this unsettling? This movie has a horrible condition of just being terrifying for no reason all the time. And if you tell me, well, Truman was in the book, he was in the book, what do you want us to say? Then don't put it in the movie. Don't put in every single thing from the book into the movie. Take some liberties, for God's sake. For my sake, for the children's sake, please. They didn't do that with It. And thank God they didn't. So then Jake is all like, okay, fuck that, bye.
Oh, there you are. Is Enoch with you? It's time for a daily walk.
Anyway, terrifying shit's over. Walk time. So then... Oh, fuck.
I asked you not to ask questions.
Okay, what was there?
If it really was one, you have to tell Miss Peregrine.
Emma, I forgot her name again. Her name's Emma. So then Emma takes Jake out to her secret hiding spot, which is definitely not a euphemism for anything, to explain some things.
Emma! Your shoes! Lead! Shoes!
Were you just expecting him to jump in? What was your plan here?
Who are these people?
Bad people. Bad peculiars. Abe dedicated his life to hunting them down. These are the ones he never found.
We did it, people! More exposition! We got it! We got it! We got it right now! We got more exposition for this movie! We got it!
I'm just ordinary.
No, you're not. Jake, only a peculiar can enter a time loop.
You know, Emma, that would have been really helpful information for earlier when he kept saying that he wasn't peculiar and that he didn't belong there. He was going to leave at some point. The one thing you didn't want to happen. So then it's revealed that Jake actually does have a superpower. He can see the creepy things. I don't actually know what their name is, so I'm just going to call them the creepy things because they're creepy and they scare me. So after that scene, we're treated to a very nice, interesting, cool scene where a lot of cool things happen and you genuinely enjoy the time. No, I'm kidding. It's more exposition. And this time it's in flashback form.
His dearest wish was for you to have an ordinary childhood.
Well, I definitely had that.
Cool? What's with that line? So then Miss Peregrine explains to Jake exactly what the bad guy's motivation and backstory are. So they used that to make them immortal, because I guess that's what that would do. I don't know the exact science behind it, but just go with it. You know, that should be this movie's motto. Just go with it. So the experiment doesn't work and they end up turning into the creepy dudes that Jake can see. But then they figured out that they could return to their human form, mostly except for their eyes, by... Okay, are you ready for this? Because this is easily the most fucked up thing in the movie. Okay. Here you go. In order to turn back into their human form, they have to eat the eyes of the children. The actual real goal of the bad guys in this movie is to kidnap the mutant children and eat their eyeballs to become human again. I mean, like... Sure, I mean, fuck it, dude, you know? Just go with it. Just go with it. Just go with it. And of course, the movie doesn't try to censor this or like Ben Kenobi in the Cantina where it just kind of happens off screen. No, it just straight up shows everything that happens. A nice, fun movie for the family. Grab your kids, get them together. Sit them down, force their eyes open Clockwork Orange style. Just have a grand old time.
They set up the machine in my loop.
They put it in the cellars at Blackpool Tower. They're still there.
Their machine.
The experiment. They intend to do it again.
This time he's using more embryons. He still wants to be immortal.
Okay, I don't want to get on the plot of this movie too much since it is based on a book, but how does that make any sense at all? You're gonna try the thing that made you turn into these grotesque monsters again, except this time just use more of the ingredient? What?
Once this loop closes, that's it. I can't get back to my own time.
But you didn't seem very happy there.
I can't just leave. I have a family.
Yes, I, Asa Butterfield, have a family.
And now you have a chance to do something that changes everything.
Sweet trailer shot, dude. So then Jake ends up leaving and he finds his dad, and apparently some guy has been killed, and oh no, his eyes have been eaten out. The bad guys are here. Oh no! So Jake runs back to the home to warn everyone, and then birdwatching guy runs after him, cause you know, whatever. And here's where we get into a little segment I like to call shit that wasn't in the book that they put in the movie for no reason. This entire scene with the bird guy switching to the therapist and then switching to I almost said Michael J. Fox. Fuck. Okay, now I want to see, I just want to see Michael J. Fox in anything, honestly. I mean, I'm a Back to the Future nerd, cause, okay, you know, let's get back to the movie. With the bird guy switching to the therapist and then to Samuel L. Jackson, wasn't in the book. Not there at all. Just thrown in for no fucking reason. He could have just caught him. He could have just been in the loop. They didn't need to add in the thing with the bird guy and the therapist, and a lot of bad decisions were made when making this movie, as you can probably tell. So then Samuel Jackson I'm just gonna call him Samuel Jackson because fucking his actual name is Baron in the movie. I don't care enough. He's just always going to be Samuel Jackson to me. So Samuel Jackson takes Jake hostage and uses him to get Miss Peregrine to come along with him because he needs to do the experiment with multiple different... Yeah, those. So now the healed caretaking bird lady is going to take care of the kids, you know, get them away from Samuel Jackson, put them in a hiding, and, you know, just make sure... Okay, yep, that's over. And then we have a decent action scene. Decent. And immediately after that, we transition directly into a horribly, horribly underexposed beach scene. Like, wow, look at that lack of lighting. So then Emma and Jake almost kiss for no reason, then we're thankfully interrupted by Enoch because my god, I'm so bored right now. And now we're here.
You sure this is it?
I think so.
So this ghost ride was made in 1943 or earlier, sat at the edge of a pier for 73 years, and is now being used by a carnival in 2016. Wouldn't you want to at least put other dilapidated carnival structures to go with it? To make it look like maybe they tore down the rest of the stuff, but this one was still relatively intact, so they kept it? Why? Why is the main question I ask myself when watching this film.
I had to masquerade as a psychiatrist for 3 weeks in Florida. Have you ever been to Florida?
It's a legitimately funny line from Samuel L. Jackson. That's not like me being sarcastic, it actually is a funny line. I know, this movie is so devoid of any humor, happiness, or joy, it's almost hard to believe that something like this is in it. So I'm starting to skip a lot of the plot elements because it's boring. It's the climax. Just know that. It's the big climax of the movie. Just know that it's the climax, okay? Bad guys versus good guys. That's where we are in the film. Okay, let's continue. So now there's gonna be a big showdown between the creepy guys and, holy shit. Is that the direction that this movie just went? Is this in the book? The scene is absolutely ridiculous in every way, shape, and form, but I kind of love it. Mainly because it's so out of left field, no one could expect it. No one. Oh, and by the way, I did not add this music in. This is the music that plays during the movie. This is real life, also. This is real. What you're seeing and what you're hearing is real. So after that scene, these guys start very convincingly swatting at bees. So then another fight scene happens between these guys, and it's fine. It's okay. There's this really weird scene with the kid who can project his dreams through his eyes.
Ooh. You must put me in contact with your tailor.
Like, why the fuck did that need to happen? Why the fuck are you even here? He doesn't come back. This scene has no importance. Stay on the ship, asshole. So then Fire Girl gets frozen. Enoch is like, oh, I never appreciated you. Kiss. Oh, I love you too. And then they're the end. Oh, and also the cute little twins take off their masks. I wonder what they've fucking shit. Damn it. Oh. Just when I think this movie is over from giving me and all the other 5-year-olds horrible nightmare fuel, it never is. So then Samuel L. Jackson stops Jake before he can save the... Wait a minute, I'm remembering. Oh my god. Ingrams? Inbrines. Okay. You know what? Close enough. I'll take it. Personal score. Personal score for me. So Samuel L. Jackson stops Jake before he can save the Ingram. I've already forgotten them again. He stops him before he can save the bird people, and then he's just like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, and then his friends come, and then he disguises himself as Jake, and then like, oh, shoot me, no, shoot me, and then Jake's like, hey man, I can do something nobody else can. I can see the creepy dudes, and then they choose Samuel Jackson. The creepy dudes come in and they kill Samuel Jackson. They take out his eyes. They take out his eyes, and it shows like the whole fucking thing too. Like, it's really weird and fucked up, and like no one does anything about it. Anyway, so then they kill Samuel Jackson. And then I have to go back and look at the movie because I don't remember what happens next because this movie is really unforgettable. I mean, forgettable. I didn't mean unforgettable. This movie, you kind of forget everything that happens because it's really, really forgettable movie and nobody knows. Anyway, alright, back to the review. Then Jake is like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my time. You guys are gonna go back to yours. Like, okay. And then Jake goes and his grandfather survived, which I know they talked about earlier. But in terms of time travel, that doesn't make any sense. Because if your grandfather died, you wouldn't have had any reason to go to the island in the first place. So technically, Jake in this timeline shouldn't exist. But fuck it, just go with it. So his grandfather goes, well, why don't you just go and be with them in 1943? And Jake goes, yeah, Grandpa, they're in 1943. I can't do that. And his grandfather is like, well, why don't you just go to other loops, and then that'll make sense. And fucking sure. Like, I like to think that I have, like, a pretty good grasp on time travel. Like, reasonably good. Like, it's still confusing. But, like, if you were giving me, like, if you gave me, like, a pretty simple scenario, I could probably, like, figure it out. This movie just throws all that shit out the window and is like, no, this is how fucking time travel works now. Fuck you. I don't like this movie. I don't know if you guys figured that out now. I don't like this movie. So then Asa shows up on the boat again and starts explaining to Emma exactly how he got there through really useless explanation and a special K product placement? Less of a product placement, more of just a gas station placement. And then that thankfully ends stupid-ass explanation flashbacks. Oh, I also just want to point out, this movie is exactly 2 hours long. Like, not a minute over. Also, the first time I saw this scene, I actually thought this was a different person in this running shot. Nope, just Asa with long hair. Miss Peregrine's is very peculiar, and this movie's peculiarity is being bad. There's so many incredibly identifiable mistakes and terrible decisions they made when making this film that it's almost shocking. Number 1, casting and acting. As you can probably see, Asa Butterfield is not a very good actor. Neither really is Ella Parnell, but she's considerably better than Asa. Asa Butterfield works better in something like Ender's Game, where he's not really supposed to fit in and is kind of out there, but even then, he's not the best. I'm not saying that he could never be a good actor. I believe anyone can act with enough work and training. But my god, why is he in this movie? He is completely emotionless. Half the time, he has no substance behind his lines, and he looks and sounds like he's just reading them off of a piece of paper. He is almost the same as Hayden Christensen's Anakin, except he doesn't get better towards the end. Samuel Jackson is the best part of this movie because he's at least competent in his acting. Eva Green plays Miss Peregrine, and she isn't awful. She overacts sometimes, but she does bring something at least a little bit nice to the table. Number 2, the writing. It doesn't matter if you have no budget for effects, shitty editing, bad lighting, whatever. As long as you have a good script, you can still make a great movie. The opposite is also true. If you have a ton of money for effects, great editing, the movie looks beautiful and all of that stuff, but you have a shitty script, you have a very high chance of making a terrible movie. I feel this is pretty self-explanatory, but this movie is the latter. It has stupid lines, terrible dialogue, way too much exposition, and the overall composition of the film is so out of order. Why not place the part where he's a kid at the beginning of the movie? I know that's not where the book starts, but it would have translated really well to film. We're rushed into action so quickly without knowing who the hell this kid is. Develop him more, for God's sake. They also developed the grandpa's entire character after he's dead, which, by the way, never do that. You can throw in a little detail about the character, but don't develop their entire personality after we think we'll never see them again. Number 3, the marketing. This movie was marketed really strangely. So the actual film has some really creepy, fucked up imagery in it, as I've shown you, but the marketing makes it look as though it's a fun, upbeat, like, adventure. Like, look at this.
Come meet the others. We're what's known as peculiar.
Like, they all use some kind of pop song and they're all super upbeat and happy. And interestingly enough, all the commercials bump up the saturation to make it seem more colorful so that kids would like it more, and to give us false hope that maybe this Tim Burton movie would have some kind of fucking color in it. This ad blatantly lies. And they all use this sound effect! More than once! In the same trailer! Every single one of these trailers has like every single trailer sound effect ever conceived by man. Although they are missing the violin, so I'll give them that. Number 4, changing things from the book. Now, like I said, I haven't read the book, but it still infuriates me how much this movie changes shit from the books. I've already mentioned how this scene where Samuel Jackson turns out to be the therapist isn't in the book, but it goes way deeper than that. Emma, as you may remember, can control air, which is a pretty central element to the story. So after some digging, I found out that Emma and Olive, the fire girl, had their powers swapped. Yeah, in the book, the love interest and main side character set shit on fire and Olive controlled air. And Olive wasn't Enoch's love interest either, that's more shit they added in. Plus, remember that terrible opening to the movie? In the book, you never see the grandfather die. His whole death was a mystery, which is infinitely more interesting than whatever the fuck they decided to do here. Apparently, the therapy sessions were bigger in the book, as well as Jake trying to figure out where the home is, picking up clues, and unraveling the mystery. But they didn't put that in because that would be too intriguing and actually interest the audience. Miss Peregrine is also far more obsessed with time in the movie, whereas in the book she is much more focused on taking care of the children. The ending was changed from them going out and searching all the loops for Miss Avocet, the other bird lady, to a shitty, rushed, happy ending. The book ending even had a scene where the kids show themselves to his dad, which would have been a pretty cool scene. The villains didn't die, Miss Peregrine was never kidnapped, and clearly no one gave a single fuck when making this. Jane Goldman, I love X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past, but you fucked up with this one. Also, isn't it a bit weird that the woman who wrote 2 X-Men movies also wrote a movie about kids with special powers who all live together in one house? Just me? Alright. So in closing, this movie is not very good. Was it the best movie to come out of 2016? No, definitely not. But it's certainly not the worst either. But what I can say is that this is the worst book-to-movie adaptation I have ever seen, and the worst Tim Burton movie I've ever seen. And I've seen Batman Returns.